In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And then, there are the Orks. Green-skinned, fungus-brained, and louder than a bolter barrage, the Orks are the most brutal and most bizarre species in the galaxy. They are a force of nature, a rolling tide of violence, laughter, explosions, and more violence. But make no mistake, they are not comic relief. They are not a joke. Because in the 41st millennium, Orks win wars, they conquer sectors, they wipe out worlds. And when the dust settles, they do it again, louder. Orks don't fight for territory, or control, or ideology. They fight because fighting is fun. They are a psychic, war-driven species engineered to spread chaos. A living weapon unleashed on the galaxy long before humans ever crawled from Terra's oceans. So how did they come to be? How do they work? And how do you stop something that thinks louder guns make bullets stronger? Let's find out. This is the story of the Orks. And it begins with their creation. Orks weren't born. They were built. Long before the Imperium, before the Eldar reached their heights, there was another war. A war between the ancient Necrons and the godlike Old Ones. To fight it, the Old Ones created a weapon unlike any other. A self-replicating, war-loving, fungus-based species. A tide that would grow stronger the more it fought. They called them the Krork. We call them Orks. What makes Orks terrifying isn't just their numbers, it's what they are. They're part animal and part fungus. They don't die like normal creatures, they spore. Every time you kill one, they shed spores into the environment. Given time, those spores grow into more Orks. Kill a few, and a warband grows back in a decade. Kill an army, and you've just planted a way. Orks are born with instincts hard-coded into them. How to speak, how to shoot, how to drive a tank or swing an axe. They don't need education, they don't need strategy. They just need noise, violence, and things to smash. And somehow it works. Their society is chaos, their technology should not function, and their weapons often don't have triggers. But Orks believe they work, and that belief fuels a strange, collective psychic power that makes it true. Paint it red, it goes faster, shout louder. It hits harder. Add spikes in a skull, now it's unstoppable. The universe has logic, Orks have volume. Ork society is built on one unshakable law. Might makes right. There are no elections, no treaties, no laws. There is only the loudest, biggest, meanest Ork, and everyone who follows him out of respect or fear. At the top of any Ork hierarchy is a war boss. A towering brute held together by scars, ego, and stolen armor plates. If a war boss can unite enough Orks, he sparks a WAAAGH, a psychic-fueled crusade of destruction across entire star systems. A WAAAGH isn't just an invasion, it's an event. A spiritual riot. The Ork version of a holy war, a sports tournament, and a galaxy-wide demolition derby, all at once. Below the war boss are knobs, elite Orks who fought their way into command. And then the endless masses, boys, youths, and the runtiest of them all, Gretchen. Basically green-skinned cannon fodder with anxiety. But even in chaos, there's culture. Orks divide themselves into clans, each with its own style. Goths. Brutal, no-nonsense fighters. Black armor, big choppas. Evil sons, speed freaks, red vehicles. Go fast or die trying. Bad moons, flashy and rich. Their teeth grow faster and Orks use teeth as currency. Death skulls, superstitious looters, blue paint, always stealing, even from each other. Snake bites, traditionalists. Stab you with a spear and call it culture. Blood axes, tactical. Yes, Orks with camo and ambushes. Even other Orks hate them for it. Each clan adds its own flavor to the fight. More dakka, more noise, more wah. Because for an Ork, life isn't about surviving. It's about fighting. And looking good while doing it. Ork technology is absurd. It's bolted together with scrap, spit, and wishful thinking. And it works. An Ork mech might build a giant tank made of junk, with cannons welded on sideways and an engine powered by fire and rage. It shouldn't run. The ammo isn't even real. The wiring is a death trap. But if the Orks believe it works, it does. Because Orks are latent psychers, not individuals, collectively. Their combined belief warps reality on a subconscious level. It's not faith, it's certainty. They know red things go faster, so red-painted vehicles go faster. They know their guns are deadly, well, not even when they have no working parts. So they are deadly. Even grenades painted yellow, more explodey. Their starships are flying garbage heaps, barely held together by metal, fungus, and reckless optimism. But in battle, they ram enemy cruisers like battering rams made of noise and glory. Mech boys, Ork engineers, don't study mechanics. They just know how things work. That knowledge is baked into their DNA. One day they wake up, grab a wrench, and start bolting together death machines. Half the time they explode. The other half, they start a war. Ork tech is a paradox, impossibly crude, yet impossibly effective. And the louder they yell, the better it gets. But what happens when this chaos is organized? That's where the WAAAGH begins. The WAAAGH is the heart of orc life. It's not just a war. It's not just an invasion. It's a psychic explosion of violence, culture, and collective chaos. When an orc war boss grows powerful enough and the warbands rally under one banner, a WAAAGH begins. Planets fall. Star systems burn. The warp trembles. And the orcs love every second of it. The WAAAGH is as much a party as it is a military campaign. Orcs paint their banners, build louder engines, add more spikes to their armor. It's war as celebration. Every death, every explosion, every roar of an engine or bolter adds to the psychic power of the WAAAGH. And that psychic energy makes them stronger, faster, tougher. Their weapons hit harder. Their tech works better. Even reality bends under the sheer force of orcish enthusiasm. Entire worlds have fallen to WAAAGHs. Hive cities reduced to rubble, Imperial Guard forces torn apart. Space Marine chapters overwhelmed. And worst of all, they never stop. Orcs don't care about winning battles. They care about extending them. Some WAAAGHs burn out after a few worlds. Others, like Gazgkul Mag Uruk Thraka's Great WAAAGH, become galaxy-shaking events. Gazgkul, the prophet of Gork and Mork, has united orcs like no one since the Krork Age. He doesn't just want to fight, he wants the fight. Forever. And that's the true horror of the orcs. They don't fight because they're angry. They don't fight because they hate. They fight because it's fun. You cannot reason with that. You cannot negotiate. And you cannot scare an orc who's enjoying himself. When the WAAAGH comes, it comes for everything. Even orcs have gods. But in true orky fashion, they're not creators. They're not all-knowing. They're not wise. They're just bigger, louder, and meaner. The orcs worship two deities, Gork and Mork. Gork is brutal but cunning. Mork is cunning but brutal. No one agrees which is which. No one cares. Because both are strong, green, and always watching, probably from orbit, probably laughing. Some mech boys and weird boys claim they receive visions from Gork and Mork, especially during a WAAAGH, but it's never prophecy. It's just inspiration to hit harder, shout louder, and build something even more explodey. Orc religion isn't a system of faith. It's a reflection of who they are. They inspire it by being bigger, badder versions of every orc's best day. And if you don't like it, orcs don't build empires. They don't govern. They don't preserve history. They consume it in smoke, flame, and laughter. Every time they're defeated, they come back stronger. Why? Because you never really kill an orc. You just break him into spores and scatter the next generation across the stars. Kill 1,000 and you've just planted a WAAAGH. Burn a world and the ashes grow boys. Orcs are the closest thing the galaxy has to an ecosystem of war. Self-sustaining, self-replicating, self-repairing. And worse, they're happy. They don't feel despair. They don't mourn. They don't fear death. Every fight is a game. Every loss is a chance to hit harder next time. They are the only species in the galaxy that enjoys the horror of the 40-year millennium. To them, it's not grimdark. It's a playground. And if they ever stop fighting each other long enough to unite, if one orc ever becomes powerful enough to lead them all, the galaxy ends in green fire. But here's the thing. They won't. Because orcs don't want peace. They don't want victory. They want the next fight. And that's what makes them truly immortal. Some orcs burn bright enough to be remembered, even by the Imperium. The greatest of them all, Gazgkul Mag Uruk Thraka. To the Imperium, he's a monster. To the orcs, he's a prophet. A colossus of muscle, scrap armor, and holy rage, Gazgkul doesn't just fight, he leads. He claims visions sent by Gork and Mork themselves, guiding him to unite the clans and bring the ultimate way across the stars. Some call him mad. Others call him divine. He led the assault on Armageddon, not once, but twice, turning an Imperial hive world into a decades-long bloodbath. Billions died, Space Marines, Astra Militarum, Titans, all thrown into the grinder. And Gazgkul only got stronger. Even after having his head blown off, he came back, rebuilt with more bionics and more rage. He's not alone either. There's Makari, his suspiciously lucky Grot standard bearer. Nazdreg, the Bad Moon warlord obsessed with teleporting his armies across the battlefield. Wazdaka Gutsmek, the speed freak mech boy who turned a warbike into an interstellar missile. Each one proves the same terrifying truth. Orcs aren't just loud. They're evolving. They're learning not how to build a civilization, but how to break yours.